All right, today we are diving deep into one of the most important but honestly often overlooked parts of our body, that small but super powerful thyroid gland. Let's get right into it. You ever have those days, or maybe even a string of weeks, where you just feel off? You're either totally exhausted for no good reason, or maybe you're buzzing with this weird anxiety you just can't seem to shake. Well, those feelings could actually be little signals from the very gland we're talking about today. So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with what the thyroid actually does. Then we'll untangle the command chain that controls it. After that, we'll look at what happens when it runs too slow, and then when it overheats and runs way too fast. We'll even uncover a really surprising link to your bones before we wrap up with how we get everything back in balance.
Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, the Master Regulator. This is all about understanding the thyroid's huge role in basically setting the pace for your entire body.
Honestly, this is the perfect way to picture it. Your thyroid, which is this little butterfly-shaped gland sitting in your neck, is like the control knob for your body's energy. It's constantly telling your cells how fast to work, how much heat to produce. It's basically setting the idle speed for your body's engine.
And when that engine speed gets messed up, it almost always falls into one of two buckets. You've got hypothyroidism, where everything just grinds to a crawl, and on the flip side, you've got hyperthyroidism, where the system is stuck in overdrive. This whole slow versus fast idea, it's the absolute key to understanding pretty much everything else about thyroid health.
So that brings us to Section 2, the hormone command chain. Because, the thyroid doesn't just wake up one day and decide to speed up or slow down. Nope, it's part of this really sophisticated communication network that actually starts all the way up in your brain.
Okay, I love this slide because it makes a super complex process really easy to get. Just think of it like a company's chain of command. Up at the top, you have the hypothalamus. That's the CEO, the boss. It sends out a memo called TRH. That memo goes to the pituitary gland, who's like the manager. The manager gets the memo and sends out a direct order. That's TSH. And who gets the order? The thyroid, the worker on the factory floor. It gets that TSH order and starts pumping out the products, T3 and T4 hormones that actually go run your body.
And here are those products we were just talking about. The thyroid makes two main hormones. You've got T4, which is kind of the stable, long-lasting workhorse. Most of what the thyroid makes is T4. But the real powerhouse is T3. It's way more potent, has a much stronger effect, but it doesn't last as long. So your body does this really clever thing where it converts the stable T4 into the super powerful T3 whenever it's needed.
So what happens when this whole system starts to break down? Well, let's start with Section 3, when the system slows. This is all about hypothyroidism, which is just another way of saying an underactive thyroid.
Now that phrase, iodine-sufficient countries, is really important. It just means places like the US, where we have iodine in our salt, so we don't really see iodine deficiency anymore. In places like these, the #1 cause of hypothyroidism is an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's disease. It's basically a case of friendly fire. Your own immune system gets confused and starts attacking your thyroid gland, which, over time, damages its ability to make hormones. And this just perfectly illustrates that whole slowing down effect we talked about. When your thyroid isn't making enough hormones, everything decelerates. You get that deep, can't-get-out-of-bed fatigue. Your metabolism tanks, which can lead to weight gain. You're always cold, your digestion slows down, and even your thoughts can feel like they're moving through mud. That's brain fog. It's a total body slowdown.
Okay, let's flip the coin. Now we're looking at the complete opposite problem in Section 4, when the system overheats. We're talking about hyperthyroidism, when the body's engine is just redlining 24/7.
And just like with hypothyroidism, the main culprit here is also an autoimmune issue. Just look at this chart. A massive 75% of cases are because of something called Graves' disease. With Graves, your immune system creates these rogue antibodies that perfectly mimic TSH, that signal from the manager. So they basically trick the thyroid into working overtime, constantly churning out way too many hormones. And the symptoms? They're a perfect mirror image of what we just saw. Instead of being tired, you're anxious and irritable. Instead of gaining weight, you're losing it without trying, even though you're eating all the time. Your heart is racing. You can't stand the heat. Your entire system is just running way too fast. All right, now for Section 5, we're going to go a little deeper. Because beyond all those obvious symptoms, your thyroid hormones have this surprising and honestly critical impact on a totally different system, your skeleton. To really get this, we first have to talk about something called calcium homeostasis.
It sounds fancy, but the idea is simple. Your body works around the clock to keep the amount of calcium in your blood within a super narrow, stable range. And this isn't just for your bones. It's absolutely vital for your nerves and muscles to work right. And this is where it gets really interesting, because both conditions mess with this delicate balance. With hypothyroidism, the slow system slows down the rate at which your bone rebuilds itself. But the much bigger problem is with hyperthyroidism. The fast system kicks bone breakdown into total overdrive, basically leaching calcium from your skeleton and dumping it into your blood. This can lead to high blood calcium and, over the long haul, can really contribute to osteoporosis.
And all of this brings us to our final section, which is all about getting back to balance. Because at the end of the day, whether the system is too slow or too fast, the goal of any treatment is to get it back to that just right sweet spot. The strategy here is actually really logical. It's all about doing the opposite of the problem. If your thyroid is underactive and not making enough hormone, what do? We replace it. That's usually done with a medication called levothyroxine, which is just a synthetic version of that T4 hormone. And if your thyroid is overactive, well, the goal is to block that hormone production using antithyroid drugs or, in some cases, other treatments like radioactive iodine or even surgery to remove some of the thyroid tissue. And this right here really says it all. Treatment isn't a one-time fix. It's all about finding that perfect equilibrium. Doctors have to carefully monitor TSH levels. Remember, that's the signal from the manager to make sure the dose is just right and the body's thermostat is perfectly calibrated. So we end on this question. Understanding your thyroid is about more than just biology. It's really about learning to listen to your own body. The whispers of fatigue or the shouts of anxiety, they can be really important clues. So take a second and think. What signals is your body sending you?